Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So we hit the psychological jackpot by this Vanita thing because a lot of people on my channel have tried to say that I'm exaggerating, that women like this don't exist, but Vanita is the exact type of woman that I am talking about. So this woman is a black TikToker, and I'm going to talk about how she called other black women dirty hoes, how she threw shade randomly at a light-skinned black woman, and how she sexually harassed a white man after that. So let's go ahead and do a deep dive into the psychology of Vanita. I'm not going to be able to play her clip because she's probably going to copyright this or try to flag this video, so I'm just going to pull a whole bunch of her quotes and we're going to dissect all of those things that she said and we're going to psychoanalyze everything behind it. So this is the same woman who went viral about 6 months ago for saying not everyone is beautiful. I didn't really care about that because I feel like, oh, that's her opinion. And, people were saying that she was a mean girl. She is also the same TikToker who was talking about this white guy. She commented on him having small lips. So she randomly brought up that he has no upper lip. This was not a part of the interview. It was not rehearsed. She randomly started making fun of his physical appearance, and then he checked her, and he was basically like, oh, so it's okay to make fun of people except for when it comes to your body weight. And then she shut up after that. But I've noticed this pattern with this particular content creator. I didn't know her name until yesterday. Then I finally found out what her name was. But I've noticed this pattern with this girl where she's had a tendency to call out the looks of other people in a disparaging way, but then you're not allowed to keep that same energy with her. And this is something I talk about all the time. A lot of times women with inferiority complexes have a tendency to try to bring others down because deep down inside they feel like they don't have as much social power. And so these are the types of women who will randomly talk shit about how people look. They'll randomly call out other people's flaws. And this actually reminds me of a video that the Exotic Brown Skin did. And the title of her video was, I'm not a mean girl, but if you looked like me, you would be. Vanita is an incredible example of this. Vanita comes off as the type of person who couldn't wait to lose weight and to finally become skinny because she had an inferiority complex and assumed that everyone who was quote unquote more privileged than her was this mean person or this bully or like super cocky or that they looked down on her or that they thought they were better than others. And so as soon as she lost all of this weight and got this plastic surgery, suddenly she takes on that same personality trait. She also comes off as if she lost all of this weight and got into this position of power out of spite. So those types of people who already had a terrible, shitty personality beforehand, and then as soon as they got some power and some fame, they utilize that power and fame to not only be jealous of other people with more power and fame than them, but they also utilize their newfound pedestal to bully everyone in sight. So it's so funny how a lot of people stereotype us as the Pretty Girl Club. People stereotype us as being that way, but in reality, it's women like Vanita who are this way. I've noticed that only the women with inferiority complexes are the ones who act like this. I have never in my life seen a woman who actually believes that she is beautiful and has confidence who goes around acting like this. Vanita's personality, she reminds me of like Azalea Banks' personality type, where it's like you were already toxic beforehand and you couldn't wait to get some power or to get some fame or to get a little bit of clout and notoriety so that you can go around and spew that same hatred against other women with your same phenotype. Vanita's audience, she has a lot of unambiguous monoracial dark-skinned black women in her audience, and she called them, quote, ugly, dirty hoes who live in Section 8, who drive cars that need a new transmission. So notice how she gets to call people ugly, dirty hoes. Meanwhile, if anybody on this channel ever called someone that, their whole YouTube account would be gone. But I want to do a deep dive into some more of her quotes. So I'm just going to repeat what she said. She said, I got something to say and I'm going to put it to rest. I fucking hate y'all. Because when I was a fat, loud, confident, dark-skinned black woman, that's all y'all ever said to me. So she is assuming that everyone only defined her based on her skin tone and her weight. So she just admitted that she actually hates her own followers, most of whom are unambiguous mono dark-skinned black women or black women who knew her when she was quote unquote at the bottom. So When I use that term at the bottom, I'm talking about the women who have the inferiority complexes. So it's very clear to me, and I don't care if people think I'm being rude. This is my opinion and my analysis of this. So the reason she's saying that she hates them is because what she's really saying is, you knew me for who I used to be. You knew me when I was at the bottom, and now I'm up here at the top socially. Now I have more social power. So now I get to finally tell you how I really feel. When I was a fat, unambiguous, monoracial, dark-skinned black woman, I didn't feel confident enough to be able to be rude or to be a mean girl. Deep down inside, I've always wanted the opportunity to be a mean girl and to finally tell people off from my newfound position of power. And so now that I have this newfound position of power as a woman who has lost weight, now I get to tell you, my followers, that I actually hate you guys and that I was essentially using you guys to build my social power so that I can finally feel better inside. She even said when she was a fat, loud, dark-skinned black woman, that's all y'all ever said to me. So she's saying that you guys defined me based on the pieces of myself that I essentially didn't like. I felt powerless based on those things, and you guys defined me based on those things. And so now that I have lost the weight, I get to finally throw it in your face and say, ha ha, I'm not the fat, dark-skinned black woman that you thought I was. I'm not at the bottom. Now I have moved up a step. So do you see how she's actually exposing her hierarchy thinking here? Let's continue. Then she says, I'm an anomaly. She says there is no other bitch that has done the things that I've done with the odds stacked against them. She also says, I talk like this on a regular basis. So what she's really implying is, this was my personality the whole time. You guys built me up to where I am, and now, ha ha, you just have to deal with it. So she's saying that as if her followers don't know that she is an anomaly. So you can tell that she's actually not talking to her followers here. She's really kind of talking to, I guess, her haters or the people who used to look down on her and think that she would never be shit because she is a fat, dark-skinned black woman, or she was a fat, dark-skinned black woman. And so she is actually proof that you can completely level up based purely out of anger and spite. It seemed like her agenda, she's actually revealing that her agenda this whole time was to kind of move in silence and lose weight and level up so that she could come back and brag about it. But notice how over here on this channel, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to brag, because if you are in a position of social power, then people hold you to a higher standard. But you can tell this woman still has an inferiority complex, because she's basically berating her followers, implying that her followers didn't believe in her or didn't believe that she would lose weight or be able to level up in the way that she has. And now she is coming online, kind of throwing it in everyone's face and announcing to the world, hey, this is who I am now, F you. So it's very much giving Azalea Banks energy. It's very much giving, hey, I deserved this pedestal this entire time, and now that I finally have my pedestal, or I finally built this pedestal for myself, I get to finally have my power. But it's almost like this tyrannical power, like this tyrannical personality where she's like, yes, I get that position of social power. I get to dominate others. I get to soak up this power that I have over others. I get to talk down on these people and call them ugly, dirty hoes. These traits actually remind me of narcissistic traits. You know, the women who really want to be parents so that they can finally have social power over some children, or, you know, women who felt powerless their whole lives. And so once they finally do get some social power, then they want to just go around and spew that hatred towards everyone else. I tell you guys all the time, sometimes when I look at the psychology of women like Vanita, it reminds me of the red pill black men who are their counterparts who do that same thing. So they'll get a little bit of money, they'll get a little bit of power, they'll get a podcast microphone, then they can come on and brag and say, hey, I got money, now I'm a high value man, and now from my position of supposed power, I want to try to put down the people who put me down in the past. But the problem is that the people who are watching Vanita's TikTok are not the same people who put her down in the past. These are people who actually supported her and helped her get where she is. But you know those guys who got rejected by the pretty girl in high school, and so then they grow up and they become rich and stuff, and then they make these red pill podcasts bashing pretty girls? she reminds me of this same type of energy. So she became skinny, and now she is bashing the types of women who used to be relatable to her. So she's bashing her own followers. The people that related to her, she is now looking down on them. She said that when she was fat, that she was not allowed to be mean, and that if she would have talked back, she said, if I would have read bitches when I was fat, I would have been an angry black woman, no Medea. So she's saying that if she would have been as truly aggressive and mean as she wanted to be when she was fat, then she would have met too many negative black stereotypes. And so she was afraid to be as mean to people when she was fat. She didn't feel like she had as much social power. She didn't feel like she had as much pretty privilege or privilege. So you know those people who stereotype pretty girls as being mean? And just like the exotic brown skin said, I'm not a mean girl, but if you looked like me, you would be. Fanita is the exact example of that. This was not about weight loss for her. This was not about creating content. This was not about any of that. This was all about power for her. This was about social power. This was about finally hoping to overcome that inferiority complex, which you can tell she still hasn't. But she had such a desperation for an ounce of privilege because she felt so underprivileged when she was the fat, dark-skinned black woman, to the point where now she finally gets a taste of at least being thin, and she is just ready to go off. Okay, so she says that she would have lost out on job opportunities and that she was doing the social media to get to the money. She says, I don't like you hoes. She says, I only like the people that support and like me, not the rest of you ugly, dirty hoes. So notice how ever since she has gained a little bit of social power with this weight loss, now she feels like she can freely call people ugly at will. So before, she kind of was afraid to speak out. She was afraid to speak her mind, it sounds like, based on her own words. She was afraid to speak her mind, and now that she doesn't feel ugly anymore inside, it doesn't hurt her feelings when people call her ugly back because she doesn't believe that she's ugly anymore since she lost the weight. So now she can freely call other people ugly without being scared of being called ugly back because she knows that she's not ugly anymore, according to herself. She says, I hate you. I always have and I always will. She says, if there's somebody I've forgotten about that's made a video about me, she said any of these light-skinned, ugly, biracial bitches that you can't even tell is black, and she was talking about this content creator named Mecca. She says, you don't get to bully nobody and then be mad when the rabbit got the gun. So she's saying she used to be bullied and now she is becoming the bully. She is announcing it. She's announcing that she is going to become the bully because she was once bullied. Meanwhile, the light-skinned girl, she had actually never bullied her. So this girl is literally just taking out her past traumas on random people. Like she's just randomly bullying others who kind of trigger her inferiority complex, and Mecca is obviously one of them because that's why she was talking about her. She said, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, and I'm Bugs Bunny, bitch. So she's basically saying, I finally got my revenge. I finally got a taste of some sort of social power. I finally get to feel relevant as opposed to feeling like the invisible, fat, dark-skinned black woman, or feeling like I wasn't able to freely make fun of people and freely be a mean girl like how others were to me. So do you see how she's giving Azalea Banks right there? She says, I can look at your profile picture. I've already got all these jokes written about her. This shows you what goes on in the minds of women with her same mentality. So instead of just looking at people like they're normal human beings, they are looking at other people, kind of sizing those people up, comparing themselves to those people. And she is saying that, hey, I feel more powerful now because now at least I'm skinny, so you can't make fun of me about my biggest insecurity, which was my weight. But again, it's like if people were mean to you, you should go take that up with the exact people who were mean to you as opposed to spreading this hatred all around like to innocent people, kind of like Azalea Banks. So these are women who need to go to therapy. They have obviously not healed, and they are utilizing their position of power to talk down on random women. when they felt like they were socially at the bottom, they had this overwhelming mindset of life is not fair, everyone's against me, I'm at the bottom. If only I can climb a little bit higher, if only I can be a little bit more privileged, then I can finally see what it feels like to have that power and to not be at the bottom anymore. So now that this woman feels like she's not at the bottom anymore because she's no longer fat, now, and because she has money now from doing TikToks and stuff, now she is making sure that the world knows, hey, I am an anomaly. I made it. Haha, you guys didn't make it. So once again, it's very much giving that same inferiority complex that Azealia Banks has. Then she goes on an entire rant about how black men disgust her. She said that she's trying really hard to hold back from saying the N-word with an ER because she felt like when she was fat, that black men were the main ones who would make fun of her and call her ugly. And so now she said that she would never go out of her way to date a black man. So she is a divester. She recently was trying to kiss a white guy who was curving her, and he wasn't interested in her. And she also was like being very thirsty with this white guy on her TikTok after this. But this is where her preference for white men seems to have come from, because she's saying it out of her own mouth. She's talking about why she doesn't like black men. And she said it's because when she was not as pretty, the black men didn't like her, according to herself. And so once again, it's very reminiscent of the red pill black men who say that, the pretty girls didn't like them, the girls with the nice bodies or the sexy girls didn't like them. And so that's why once they get some power, they're going to move to another country or become passport bros, or they're going to talk about women hitting the wall. So it's almost like this revenge of the incels. And this girl is giving me kind of like a revenge of the femcel personality type, to where she seemed so incredibly angry at her past circumstance of being fat, to the point where when she finally did lose the weight, now she feels like she can get all of this anger off of her chest, as if this is somehow going to help her by venting it all on TikTok. And then she says, quote, "Any boy that y'all like, I'ma fuck him." So she is talking to the women who she believes used to look down on her. So she's talking to these women now who she now views as kind of her rivals, whereas before she viewed those skinny women or the pretty women or the light-skinned women as being above her. She named this stuff with her own words. She didn't say it in the exact way that I'm saying it, but I'm breaking down what she said based on the definitions of her words and based on the context of it. So she literally said out of her mouth, "Any boy that y'all like, I'ma fuck him." And this also reminded me of, do you guys remember the Brianna Monique thing? When Queen Chama made a video talking about Brianna Monique being a texturist, and then she randomly brought up how Brianna Monique was a hoe, and she slept with 2 black NFL players, and she was like, oh, black men eat Brianna Monique's ass. And it's like, why are you randomly bringing up another woman's sexuality or comparing your sexuality to another woman's, like comparing who you fuck to like who she wanted to fuck? Those types of women who will try to go behind your back and sleep with your boyfriend, or they will have this mindset of, she thinks she's better than me, so let me show her, let me humble her by fucking her man. She announced on her TikTok, go watch the TikTok. She literally said, "Any boy y'all like, I'ma fuck him." So she's saying, as a humbling tactic to you, I am going to have sex with your man so that I can feel more sexually powerful than you, so that I can feel more sexy than you, more attractive than you, more seductive than you. I'm watching who you like. I'm going to take note of who you have a crush on so that I can fuck him. And then she goes on to brag about how she can tag any man she wants. She can fuck any man she wants. Obviously, she's not talking about black men, though, because she said earlier that she hated the black men and that she's trying to hold back from calling them the N-word with an ER. She then goes on to say, "Any car y'all want, I'ma buy it. Any clothes y'all want, I'ma buy it. Any furniture y'all want to get, I'ma get it. Any phone y'all want, I'ma get it." So she's trying to say that anything that her enemies, or the women who used to think they were better than her and now they're not better than her, anything that those women want, she's going to take it. She's going to have it first to prove to you that she is on the same level as you. So that's basically what she's saying. She's saying, hey, I'm finally that bitch now. All you women who thought you were better than me, these ugly light skins, ugly biracials who you can't even tell are black, or the people who used to define me based on being a fat, dark-skinned black woman. Any man you guys want, I'm gonna fuck him. Any clothes or shoes or furniture you guys want to buy, any car you want, I'm gonna buy it. So literally, it's that mindset that I talk about all the time. You know how people accuse you of replacing them? No, in reality, a lot of women want to replace you. They want your social power. They put you on a pedestal and they perceive you as having more social power than them. And so they will do everything in their power sometimes to try to attain that same social power or privilege as a form of revenge against you, to try to say, ha ha, look at me now. I fucked your man now. Ha ha, look at me now. I have the same car as you. I have the same shoes as you, the same clothes as you. You're not better than me because look, I did all the same things as you. So it's that extreme copycat spirit. And this is why I will continue to call out when women want to look like other women while simultaneously hating those women. I talk about this in regards to things like texturism, featureism, and how there are women out there who do have this same psychology as Fanita, where this is not about fashion to them. This is about literally competing and measuring up and then trying to make themselves feel better by humbling you because they literally are extremely envious and covetous and treacherous and want your life. She made multiple other TikTok rants where she was talking about the brand Prada, and she was saying that Prada was giving white influencers gifts, kind of like sending them PR and stuff, and she was like, I'm going to need a perfume for my vacation, basically demanding that Prada sends her some perfume in order for them to prove that they are not racist. So do you see what I'm talking about? How sometimes if you have an inferiority complex, you have this mean girl energy, but also this hyper competitiveness, and you still have this entitlement to the point where you're demanding that a white company stop supporting their white members of their community and instead support you. And also, if I were the marketing director at Prada, I would never want to work with Fanita, because why would I put my product next to someone who goes on rants and calls people ugly, dirty hoes? And like, why would I give people free stuff and that's their brand, that's their image? I wouldn't want my social image to be associated with that either. That's not racism. That's called being smart with marketing. And once again, stop begging other people to be your representation. That would be like if a white guy got mad at Morehouse College, like, oh, how dare you give all these black men scholarships? You need to give me a scholarship in order to prove that you're not discriminating. No, you can't get mad when a company decides to support their own people, or they decide to support whoever they choose and they don't choose you. And I think that Fanita is undergoing a sense of shock because she seems to have had this mindset of, if only I were skinny and rich and, you know, had all these social media followers, then all of my problems would go away. And then she seems to be shocked when she realizes, oh wait, my life isn't as perfect as I thought it was going to be. Like, all of my problems didn't go away. I still have a shitty personality, basically, is what she's realizing. Or she's realizing that the huge pedestal that she put skinny people on, or this pedestal that she put TikTokers on and social media on, she didn't have to put it on that high of a pedestal in the first place. And so she's quickly realizing that her life isn't as perfect as she thought that it would be with her newfound quote unquote privilege. But then she goes on to post some TikToks with this white guy. I don't know his name, but she's like, I guess, flexing. It comes off as if she is flexing the fact that she is on a date with a white guy or hanging out with this white guy. And she even was seen trying to kiss him and he was dodging her because, remember, she said, any dude y'all want, I'ma fuck him. So she's assuming that, you know, that there are a lot of girls who like this white guy. I mean, he's probably a big TikToker, so I'm sure there probably are girls who want that. So she's trying to prove herself here. She's trying to prove that she is more socially powerful than other women. She's trying to make herself feel more attractive by associating with a white guy who is attractive, because not only does she pedestalize whiteness, and I can tell by the way she constantly compares herself and pocket watches all of the white TikTokers, so she's absolutely got an inferiority complex in comparison to white people, which is why she seems to be going out of her way to show, hey, look, I'm with a white guy, look at me, I'm desirable because I'm with a white guy, the white man likes me, the white man wants me. And so I believe that this content creator is nowhere near as confident as she tries to give off. Her mental illnesses very much remind me of Azalea Banks. And these are the types of people that I talk about on this channel all the time, like the psychology behind this. Oftentimes, these are women who have been through a lot of traumas. She even admitted herself that she has been through, emotional and physical and sexual trauma. And by the way, I'm not diminishing that. I mean, that's horrible. And I really hope that she gets help with a therapist. But I just wanted to talk about this because there are women out there who wish that they could be in your position, because it's very clear that Fanita wanted to be in the position of those white TikTokers by demanding that she gets the same types of stuff as them, because she's very heavily comparing herself to them. She's very heavily watching everything they do and like spying on the stuff that they do. She's very focused on other people. She definitely seems to have an external locus of control. So these are the people who, instead of focusing on what's good about them and, what awesome things they have going on in their life, what brand deals they're getting, how pretty they are, how much stuff they have going for themselves. Nope. Even though she's putting on this persona of being so big and bad, kind of like Azalea Banks, you're putting on this big bad persona. I'm so powerful. I'm this, I'm that bitch type of thing. But then in reality, mentally, your psychology is actually hyper-focusing on other people. You're focusing on, who is she fucking? Okay, I'm going to go fuck him too. Oh, what car is she buying? I'm going to buy the same car. I'm going to wear the same clothes. I'm going to have the same thing. So I can try to humble her and let her know you're not better than me. I need to try to prove to everyone that you're not better than me. I need to prove to my past haters who are probably not watching this TikTok, I need to prove to them that, hey, look at me now. I'm better than you now. And I also find it hilarious how Fanita was relishing in her newfound thin privilege and her newfound pretty privilege. She was relishing in that. And, she loved the fact that she got to say, not everyone is beautiful. And she loves relishing in her newfound body privilege, or her pretty privilege in terms of body. But then she gets mad when other girls relish in their white privilege or their light skin privilege, or, when they use their privileges to get brand deals. So she wants to have all the privileges in the world, but then she gets mad when other girls also have privileges. So having her own privilege of being pretty, that's not enough. She wants to also have light skin privilege and white privilege, as she said. She didn't say it in those exact words, but yeah, that's what she said. She wanted the exact same things as the light-skinned girl and as the white girls. So do you notice this mindset to where it's like, oh, deep down inside, I want to have privilege, but you're not allowed to have your privileges, and you're wrong. You're wrong for having light skin privilege. You're wrong for having white privilege. How dare you get free stuff from Prada? That's not fair. Prada needs to give me a free purse so that they can prove they're not racist. They need to give me a better hotel room so that they can prove they're not racist. And also, what happened to going where you're celebrated? Where's that energy? Going where you're celebrated. Why are you even trying to get something from Prada if you think that Prada is like racist or that they prefer white people? I wouldn't want anything from a company if I felt like they were racist. I would go where I'm celebrated. So do you see the hypocrisy I'm talking about? Fanita doesn't want her light-skinned friend to have light-skin privilege. She doesn't want the white TikTokers to have white privilege or to get stuff from white companies, but she herself was relishing in her newfound thin privilege and her newfound wealth privilege, and she was flexing it to the gods on her TikTok. But if other people have privileges and she happens to not have those exact same privileges, then she's pissed. And so this is proof that Fanita still seems to have a hierarchy mindset. So even though she has thin privilege and she now feels better than those who are fat, and she also has wealth privilege and she now feels better than those who are poor, and she brags about, being an anomaly. It ain't fun when the rabbit got the gun. I'm Bugs Bunny, bitch. Okay, so she liked that privilege, but she still felt that her privilege was inferior to the privilege of the light-skinned girl and the white girl. But it's like, if you were really that privileged and you really were celebrating yourself that much, you wouldn't have even noticed what the light-skinned girl was doing. You wouldn't have even noticed what the white girls were doing or what brands they were getting or who they were working with, because you would have been busy enjoying your life. So this is the exact hypocrisy that I'm talking about. This is the exact psychology that I'm talking about. And I'm so glad that a lot of other women have been making videos about this. But I've noticed that a lot of women in the Black community who have that same inferiority complex as Fanita, nothing is ever going to be good enough. basically what Fanita was proposing in order to make her feel better was to allow her own followers to be her emotional punching bag, to have that random light-skinned girl be her emotional punching bag, to have her fellow white TikTok colleagues be her emotional punching bag, and to demand that Prada give her some free designer stuff. So this goes to show that this is not about ending colorism, it's not about ending texturism or featureism, it's not about ending fat phobia. Fanita did not talk about any of those things in her TikToks. She talked about what? Social status. That is what she cared about. She talked about social status, and this is what I say on this channel all the time. It's not about social justice. It's about social status. So oftentimes women will try to hide behind these ism talking points or the whole privilege talking points, like you have privilege and I don't. But in reality, they themselves would take that same privilege if they could have it. They would gladly take that same privilege. In fact, Fanita demanded to have access to the same privilege as her white or light-skinned counterparts by trying to demand that Prada gives her a new perfume that she can wear on her vacation. And so anybody who says privilege is bad or I don't support privilege, for the most part, they're being disingenuous because, number one, that person probably has a privilege that they enjoy every day, but the only thing is they don't want you to enjoy yours, or they get mad because they happen to have a different privilege than you, and their privilege that they have is not enough. They want to have their privilege as well as yours. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.